Okay, that means we're live. Howdy, everyone. It's Crow's Nest Snow Quarter, episode 33. This one's called Flying
Dutchies. Flying Dutchies, dude.
On the left-hand side. So if you'd like to come and join us and talk about some Battle Pirates-related stuff, we've got some spots open. So I'll go through and introduce everyone. So we've got Damnation.
Yo.
Roscoe.
Good evening.
Shane Howe.
Hello, peoples.
Doomsday Rebel.
How's it going, everyone?
Toxic.
G'day, how we going?
And me. So howdy, everyone. That's just the way it appears.
Well, who is me? We need to specify who me is.
Oh, I'm just RB. No one very particularly important. Just
the king of mediocrity, our fellow the king of mediocrity.
The poor sucker who got left with doing this job. So anyway, how's it all going? How's your Flying Dutchie event going, everyone?
I'll go first. I'm having fun. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, it's targets aren't hard. They don't take a whole lot of engagement. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people saying, boy, it's getting boring. Well, let's be honest. Any target that we have to hit more than 10 times gets boring. So that's not anything different, you know. So I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I'm kicking along. I mean, I did a stretch yesterday. Apparently my bat range can last for like 50 targets. So it's 16-hour repair, or I can bring it back in the base and like rip it apart repair, you know, if I wanted to just go back and forth like that, or I can sit on it overnight, and I figure I'll have it all within this, what is this, lasting 4 days?
Yeah, I think it's over Monday. I think the last world closes down Monday at 1 p.m. kicks time.
Yeah, so I mean, it took me about an hour and a half to hit that many targets. So I'll do it again today and then let them repair overnight, and then I'll do it again tomorrow, and hopefully I'm done by tomorrow. That'd be 150 targets. Hopefully that's enough to get all this stupid stuff that they're saying we're going to be needing. I mean, I don't really see that the Gale 4 or whatever there, I don't see it as much of an upgrade. Not worth me doing a refit on my ships for that. So, but the skins are cool, I think.
I like the skins. Toxic doesn't like the purple skin.
Yeah, I guess I'll say I started out not liking the event. Truly not. I just wasn't my thing. And then I'm enjoying a great deal. I've refitted even already. I already have the skins on the bat ray at least, and I've put the torps and the Gale 4s on the fleet, and they're pretty nice. And I don't have very many on. You know, I've got I think I've got 4 Gale 4s so far, and a couple of the anti-torps, 2, I believe, so far on the fleet. And it really is a difference as far as what gets shot out of the sky, and as the torp, the 2, I think 1 more would be needed, but I'm almost taking out all torps, and no matter what driving with the 2. So
let me ask you this: what targets are you doing? Are you testing?
Just the 13.
Okay, because I heard several other people saying that their anti-torps weren't even firing at all in the 13s.
Well, in all honesty, you can't see them fire. I can't see them fire, but I thought that was just me. But I can see where I know exactly what I was doing them for. Damage-wise, inconsistent, and I know when I added those, my damage dropped dramatically. I mean, minutes, you know. So I do know that there is something working there.
Gotcha.
And that's how I also I don't see them fire for sure. So, and I haven't tried any other targets. So I'm hoping that is something, but I'm taking, and for sure now, because I wanted to really test, and I just let those little drone thingies swarm because I'm trying to figure out how many is required. And I'm for sure taking some of those out. I mean, I'm not getting hit.
Okay.
Interesting. I'll meet you with my fangs after the show, okay?
No, my driving's not the greatest, in all honesty, but I'm doing them for like 12 minutes a piece.
Now, is that with a crew or no crew or what?
No crew at all.
Okay. Now, how are you doing? Are you staying on top of the ship, or are you going like max range off to the plank, or what are you doing?
I am not max ranging it, but I'm just going counterclockwise, encircling, and I try to stay in front of the nose of their ship. So I try to stay in a counterclockwise circle, in the same circle they're doing, but I try to stay at the front of their ship. And it makes a difference on what I was getting hit with splash.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that was what I was always trying to do, was stay in front of the nose as well, because I found that there was quite a lot of difference in, that there wasn't any splash getting you. So I've also refitted. I haven't refitted the torps because I didn't think there was any torps in this target, so I was kind of curious to hear you say that. But I've refitted 3 Gales, I think, with tokens and stuff that I had. So I haven't seen as much difference as I was hoping for. So I was kind of a little, I don't know. But if I've got enough to put on some more ships, so I'll certainly do that as the next week progresses, so it's ready for the raid, because it's, there's no point in just refitting just for this event. You've got to think further ahead than that, in my mind anyway. So I'm at about, I don't know, 55k, and I thought I'd had enough of it, but I might do some more, because I figure I may as well. I was really only trying to get the cormorant for the raid, but I'll try and get a bit more stuff, I guess. So I've got my orange skins fitted, so they were the only ones I was worried about, because I reckon they look really, really cool. So that's kind of my take on it.
The one thing I find kind of neat about this event too is you can either go in the base and tear it apart and instant repair and go pretty much all day long, or you can just go straight through into your fleet's almost dead and then just go to sleep on a 15-hour repair or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have both of those options available to you.
Yeah, definitely. It's good. It's good.
Travis and Toxic seem kind of quiet.
Well, I haven't really done much. I've done a run yesterday. I've done 9 targets yesterday for 8.5 hours repair. And I've done 13 today for, I think, 7 hours or whatever it was. But I've used Deadeye Destroyers yesterday, thinking that they would do some good, but they don't. Hang on a sec. Let's got the whole family just come home. I'll tell you the story.
What about you, Doomsday? Have you been doing any of the targets?
Yeah, I'm doing actually really well. I'm in the top 100. I think I'm at like 76,000 or something.
Oh, look at you.
It started out a little rough because I had, I was building my fleet all through the first raid with the tokens. So I still had some ships that were missing Gales, which worked out great because I had the slots for the Gale 4s. So once I put 4 of them on and I got 2 of the anti-torpedoes on, I went from about a 12 coin repair, no kidding, to sometimes almost damn near making it flawless. with my driving. I think the lowest repair time I got was 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and
Sweet.
it's truly the style that I take on with the targets. Truly skill based because the cannonballs that come out, there's actually two arc patterns to that set. There's one that shoots out higher, and one that starts really low towards the ship and then works its
Yeah.
way across. So what I do is I go up on the left hand side, and I'll circle around the back, and this will turn the ship heading up, heading north. Up the map towards the top. So what I'll do is once it turns, and then I flank it, and I run that thing parallel all the way up, and I'm marking that bitch all the way up through there. And when that, when they throw out the skiffs, I'll just pull out of range just a little bit with my back raise, melt them, and then come right back in. But if I nail it right, if I had a couple more antis, I think I could almost pull it down flawless off on this thing. For real.
Sweet.
Because when I come back and it was 3 minutes and 45 seconds, I was like, oh my God, that was just so awesome. But there's room for error with my fleet. So if I take one volley, that 3 minutes turns into like 2 hours and 3 minutes instantly.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line, which is pretty cool.
Mm. So with you and Ross, have you spread the like the anti-torps across different ships, or how have you done it? Have you put two on one ship, or?
I'd like to talk about that. I had to throw them all on one because, and now I don't want to, but because I'm using ship build tokens, right? And I really don't want to throw away the tokens for that many lost hours, Oh.
Well, the one thing I can tell you on that, the Gale 4 and the Cormorant both equal up to almost exactly a day with my officers and R&D level and everything. So it's literally a 7-second build if you put one each on every ship.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that now. So it's a bit over 22 hours for me. So that works out quite fine.
So I spread mine across my fleet.
Sorry,
well,
Dean.
I only have 2 so far on the whole thing. So
yeah,
I mean, I haven't.
Okay, well, that's kind of cool.
I've got way more anti-torpedoes than I have Gales, though.
I hate you because I was mainly hitting torpedoes, and I've gotten almost nothing but Gales the whole freaking time.
Yeah, I was going to ask how everyone was going with their opening many chests for many shards and how that's all working out.
Why are they putting them in chests? Why can't they just get a random card?
I know, right?
Absolute bombs. I mean, Jesus.
I've got way too many Predator missiles to like. No, that's for sure. I think I've got 7 shards of Predator missiles so far.
Yeah, I've been copping a few of those, which has been a bit of a pain, but I noticed, and certainly you were in the same damnation, that when we both started, it was just gale, 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 and then we seemed to go through that run, and then that's when we started getting some of the other stuff, because I know certainly with my Razor skins, they were like one of the last things that I was getting. So yeah.
Yeah, I know I finished my battery skin before I finished my Razor skin, which was weird because like when I had looked and I was farther ahead on the Razor one than I was on the Bat Ray, and then all of a sudden it was like boom, boom, 2 Bat Ray pieces and it was done. And it was still like, a good many hits before I finally finished off the Razor.
Yeah.
Which I like the Bat Ray skin. It doesn't look as good on water as it does on the model itself. I do wish they had done just a blacked out version. Halloween, it's a bat, make it black, whatever.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Maybe
I hadn't thought about that.
Maybe that'll be a skin for the flagship in the raid.
Oh yeah. Make me a black ship, Kixeye.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Back to the Drac days.
Yes.
Cool. And so what do we, I mean, I guess we need to talk about it, and I'm not trying to be negative, but it's just, you know, obviously the communication for this event was pretty lacking, with the relocate turned off and no uranium and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, without being too negative about it, what do you all think about that?
We left out only one thing.
Sorry, what I miss?
They didn't put in half repair.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything else is the same as the raid. They turned off everything. They turned off how many friends you can do on your list. You know, turned off jump, turned off sector threat. So, you know, I mean, they shut it down for an event. Well, I mean, I can do 50 targets for 16-hour repair. I wouldn't mind if it was 8.
Yeah, I burned up the grease monkeys.
Those are far and few in between for me. So, you know, they suck.
I got really lucky, dude. I rolled 2 within the first 10 rolls, and I was like, all right. And then I had 3 demo squads already, so I just put my demo squad on and used it, and then I would come back in and repair and switch them out. So I got extremely, extremely lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, I can do them for, you know, rip apart repair in the base too, or just keep running.
Yeah.
I had stuff to do yesterday, so hour and a half is what I had to do. You know, that's what it took me to run that crew. And I got 50 targets before it died. Then I could put them on repair, and I'll come back today and do it. I don't know. I might do it long way today, or I might just blast through again because I'm bored of playing the game. You know, chore. There's a lot of targets to do, man. Shards suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked out I've done about, because if you say that your average is about 800, I've done 70 targets. So it kind of, you know, this is kind of why we talk about grind and stuff like that. And it's not so much that it's the 70 target, it's the 70 targets and repair that makes it an issue. And, you know, we've got TLCs going on and all that sort of stuff, and FM, and you know, this is what we talk about when we say that the repair times are high, and why we feel this burden. So it's
honestly, I think that's more in my realm of what I'm seeing anyway. For me personally, is the issue is more not maybe the repairs in this event per se itself, but you got the 2 campaigns running for the flagship stuff, which is very damage intensive. You know, you have the Turrets of Terror Elite, which can be very damage intensive if you mess up. You got the FM, of course, which, you know, grinding it out is always damage intensive, you know, because if you're like me and you just go until your fleet's almost dead, and then you got a whole bunch of repairs. So, yeah, like putting all these very damage intensive things together at the same time, I think is what's maybe possibly would be detracting from the enjoyment of the event more for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So cool. So is there anything else about the event that anyone wants to talk about? I think we've pretty much covered it. The one thing I probably do want to make sure that I remind myself is not to refit too many Gale 4s, because I do want to put some on my Dragons, speaking of FM, because I'm hoping that will help some of that damage in the 120s that might help a bit. So
I know one thing I wanted to mention too, as far as, you know, people with meat uranium and whatnot, the blitz targets are still out there, and they're still paying out their normal 25K or whatever it is. You can always hit blitz targets for your uranium. You can hit the level 7s to get the chests. I tend to find lots of uranium chests in the level 7, along with titanium and base parts, and, you know, you can do those Like if you take your raisins or your bat rays in there, you can do them pretty much damage free. So that's another way that you could, you know, easily stock up on all those advanced resources.
Cool.
Yeah, it has been good in that respect because I know, you know, I've still been rolling for crews and that sort of thing. And luckily I was full of uranium when it started, but by hitting the 7s, it's given me enough uranium to keep on going through and also do a little bit of stuff on my mega and stuff like that. So
I know one thing that happened yesterday that you and I kind of talked about too was when the pop-ups came up in the daily deal to buy uranium, you know, for coins that you already had on your account. It's like, okay, I can just see where this is going now because, like, from Kickstarter's perspective, they're like, okay, well, we created a problem, so we're trying to put in something to help alleviate it. And from the player's perspective, they're like, oh, you turned off the freaking uranium targets so you can then turn around and sell us uranium for coins, you know. Like, that was one of those places where you can definitely see that two different sides looking at something two different ways and a big disconnect between the way they're looking at it.
yeah, definitely, because we talked quite a bit about that because it's exactly as you describe it. You know, from our point of view, it's like, you know, yeah, great, I can coin it, but you know, they're saying to them, it's, you know, well, here's the solution. But speaking of that, is that a multiple? Sorry, I'm just clicking on the game now.
Yeah, you can buy it multiple times. I think like 4 times for each of them. I think.
No, it's a single purchase.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right this second.
Oh, you're right. When I saw 1 of 4, it was just like that's how many offers I had. My bad.
Yeah. So the other shipbuild ones, you can buy 5 times, but the uranium's just a one of. But you know, and that's the thing. It would seem like that's a great solution, but you know, anyway, we kind of explained that one. So cool. And anyone else? Have you? What do we think about the hunters and the apex hunters being shardedized when they weren't shardedized before?
Well, actually, I personally would like to talk about the fact that it would have been nice had they said at the beginning of the event that hunters could actually even do the level 7 targets. Like, I don't think it's actually officially still been posted anywhere yet.
Yeah, that's true. I know I certainly used my prototypes on the 7s as well, and they worked pretty well. So even though it's not an ideal build, they do an okay job. You know, they're not superior, but I would suggest they're probably better than hunters. So you can use your prototypes as well if you want. At least then you've got the constant speed. So because I was finding that a bit of an issue with the razors, with the you know, the whole speed up aura blipping off to the side, and all of a sudden you've ground to a hold again, and it's like, come on, hurry up, speed up.
It was kind of interesting because like pros are better than hunters, which we would expect, but then they're both better than icebreakers, which is what they actually say the target was designed for. And it's like, wow, you really failed on designing this well for icebreakers as opposed to these other ships.
Yeah, I know. I'm still got my 10 hours of repair on those icebreakers that I tried out, thinking, oh yeah, well, they should be all right, but yeah, they didn't last very long. So yeah, and I have heard, I haven't tried it. I have heard that fangs work as well, but you know, it's right back to the Hellfire type deal where you've got to, you know, you're right on the ragged edge, and if you're half a pixel out, you're pretty much toast.
Speaking from personal experience, be very careful if you're using fangs. That's all I'm going to
say. And whatever you do, don't use bucks, because
yeah. I heard somebody saying, "Oh, people were even having good luck with bucks in some of these targets." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe it. Let's go see." And I went in, yeah, you're not going
to have to. It was pretty impressive of how quickly ships can sink and how long they are to repair. So
yep.
Yeah, that's it was good to see that happen, but not good if you're the one who's got to repair it. So
no, I don't care, dude. Like I said, I'm actually halfway tempted to just go through and take every single fleet I put in and there and be like, do you work? Do you work?
I did unfortunately see a picture of that on another page. Someone had posted that you know, they were hitting a 13 and you could see, you know, this dock full of red, and it's like they tried every single type of ship that they had, which was kind of sad, really.
Talking about ships, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but once upon a time, was a Reaver fleet, which was a PvP fleet, which is not like what we're talking about PvE. And that cost to repair, depending on how many bulkhead armors you put on, up to, I think, 90 or 100 coins you could pay that for. Now, if you look at the Mani course, they were like, what, 3 hours or 3.5 hours to repair? And if you look at the Razors now, they're like, I mean, I've got an officer and everything is R15 or, you know, I've got everything up. It's all R30 or whatever you want to call it. And that's 4.5 hours to repair. Now, a full fleet will cost you 45 coins to repair. And I think we're going back to Reaver times. It's just only in PvE this time, not in PvP. It's getting more and more and more and more and more. And then they throw little Halloween raids in like they did with this one. There's no half repair. And it's very costly if you coin your repair. If you, for example, want to be on top of the leaderboard, or you want to be in the top 100 or whatnot, it'll cost you a pretty penny to be there. So I don't know. To me, it looks like they're upping everything. There's no reprieve. I don't know what you guys think, but that's 4.5 hours for one ship for one. You know, that's it.
Yeah, it's a bit much because my very first run, I got a security error and it crashed. And by the time I got reconnected, I had 18 hours of total refit. And
ouch.
So that was a bad way to start it out. Luckily, they gave me 4 or 5 hour repair tokens so I could get back out there. But man, that hurt. Just
and that's we're all talking about running with a perfect connection. There's so many players in this game that do not have good connections, you know. And well, this would be a hard event to do with any lag.
Yes.
And
luckily,
oh, sorry.
I was going to say, luckily, I haven't seen too much lag. It's actually, you know, for an event run pretty smoothly. So, from my point of view, I've been pretty lucky there. But you go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. No, I was just curious as to anybody who uses the app to do anything. Were these targets actually on the app to be able to hit from the app?
I haven't tried it out. I'm going to check it out right now.
I don't think it was because I saw a person on Discord post a screenshot where it said event and then there was no target. And of course, they were raging. So.
Well, yeah, that was Valerie Venom, but then she's like, "Oh, well, the event hasn't actually started in my sector yet, too." So,
oops.
I mean, I foresaw it being a big problem if those targets were on the app, because they specifically say don't auto these or you will die. But the app, you only have the choice to auto. So I was kind of thinking they probably wouldn't be on there because I just foresaw a huge problem if they were.
Yeah, it's not an auto-friendly target for sure. You need to be in there and driving. If you don't, you're just going to cause yourself a crap ton of unnecessary damage. So
there is no event targets in the HQ app.
Good. Because that was one of my big concerns. Is I just saw them putting that in there, and then I just saw like that would just be an excuse for the pitchforks and the tars and the feather to come out, you know. So at least I'm glad they thought about that ahead of time.
And truly, they do a good job on the HQ app. They when they have had problems or whatever, it's fixed very fast. So yeah, I'm glad to see that as well, and way to go, and let's keep doing good things with the HQ app. I mean, really.
Well, I would imagine too that's a lot easier for them to fix because they don't have 7 years of historic code on it that they have to worry about. That if we change this, we're going to break this. You know, the app is all pretty much, you know, fresh and brand new, and they know exactly what's in there.
Right, right. You know, it's a great thing. So,
Doomsday, you use bats, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you're okay. Sorry, I was just thinking about the anti-torps and how they were going to work and that sort of thing. But you said you'd seen a big reduction on damage, right? So yeah. So
And
your aura is only stopping the smart torpedoes.
Correct. And then the antis will be going after the the regular draconian torpedoes. So it should be a pretty significant reduction, I think, across the board as far as raid targets go.
Yeah. So when you're getting swarmed by the inters, those the cormorants should be working then.
Yes, and the hunters that's in there, they also fire.
Oh yeah.
So it'll work against them as well.
Cool. So yeah, to me, I mean, that seems to be the biggest necessity out of this event is the cormorant. So
and I think it'll help protect the flagship, where we're getting the most damage on the lead ship. I think having some in there will help reduce that effect that's going on in the game.
Yeah. That's good. So the people who can do the event will be hopefully advantaged in the raid and should help them out a bit. So yeah.
I have a question for you all in these targets. The yellow field on the water, is that actually causing damage?
No. I tested it out. I went and sat in it for a long time, and I actually was looking for Easter eggs. I circled the entire map because I hit 0 once, and I had targets like everywhere. But unfortunately, it's just little ice blocks. But I was hoping to find like some candy or something. Like, program me an Easter egg somewhere, please.
You've been such an awesome addition to this because you really do think like that, and it's really good to have that perspective too. Because I hadn't have even dreamt of Easter eggs, but yeah, it would have been a very good thing. You have a little spider hanging out in a pea cloud or something, and that's where your Easter egg is. So.
Jumping out on a stripper pole.
You could do that as well, yes. Cool. Very good. So I guess that's all the Flying Dutchman stuff. I don't think we've kind of beat that one to death.
We have passed that Dutchie around the circle is what we have done at this point.
Well, that's all right because it was a good Dutchie. So what about TLCs? Is everyone getting their way through those or been discussed? Or
there's TLCs?
Yeah.
No, sir. I'm avoiding the TLCs in all honesty. I don't, the damage is just too high for me to especially if I'm going to partake in an additional event, which I do like. It's going to leave those out of the question. There's not a chance in hell I'm going to actually throw a fleet in for a 10-hour repair for VXP token. No. So
I know on the Fat Ray when I've done the first prize pack and the second prize pack, and I don't know that I'll go any further than that. The only reason I was even did the second prize pack is because my Bat Ray Brennus is actually done, but I just wanted to throw some VXP on it. And I was like, oh, there's 2 tokens there. And I lost almost my entire fleet getting into the second prize pack. So I was like, yeah, I'm probably done with this then.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, I was, when I saw, and we'll come back to this later, but when I saw the Turrets of Terror come out, I was calculating the structure build tokens in my mind because I was, thinking, well, I'm pretty much set for the raid. I don't really have to do anything. And this is obviously before I knew about this event. And I kind of calculated that if I could get 3 Turrets of Terror and with the structure build tokens I had and the FM, that I was going to, I could potentially have done my shipyard. And then I thought, so I counted it up and I had 2 days left and I was really looking and I was going to push that button, and I'm bloody glad I didn't, because for the refits for this event that we had no knowledge of, and also that seeing how much damage is in the Turrets of Terror, I'm not going to go through that for the structure build token. So I'm glad I didn't make that decision now. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer for me, because I was, I thought I would have been able to get to a place where I'd have my shipyard done and I'd be all set ready, because I'm certainly, next month we're going to be building the new hulls, so I don't know when it's going to get done now. So,
well, yeah, and I would really like to know who the target audience for these 2 campaigns was, because if the top end, top tier players are the quote unquote elite players are having problems with these quote unquote elite targets, well, they're the ones who already have the flagship, so obviously it's not targeted for them. So
yeah,
it means it has to be targeted for the quote unquote non-elite players or the not top tier players. Well, guess what, dude? If the top tier players are having problems with it, these guys sure as hell ain't gonna be able to do it. So,
yeah.
whatever your target audience was, I think you really missed it on and I would have thought you would have learned after the first run through Double Driver and Whiplash that we're tuned way too high. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right there, because it's exactly as you say. I mean, luckily I'm not anywhere near an elite or top tier player, because I'm just mediocre. But I get your point exactly. So
well, and I mean, I know in chat they're saying, "Oh, well, they're Katie's," or well, you can't tune a goddamn TLC around like something that like 2 to 3% of the game population knows. That's just stupid.
yeah.
Plus, there's how many run throughs do you have to do in an hour? It's like 7.
I believe it's 7. Yeah.
So yeah, I can't be bothered doing that. I didn't do them last week. I didn't do them this week. I even missed out on my token chest last week in the FM, because I just can't be bothered even switching that game on, because it's all the same thing. It's getting very, very boring. I've only just got my second Witch Doctor refitted so that I can hit a base with it. So now I have to refit the other ones. Because I'm not doing it with coin or tokens, because I'm not gonna spend that waiting for the refactor, see what's going on there. So everything gets done, just a normal time, and it takes so long. So I guess by the time I get them done, the refactor would have ruined everything, and it'll be another refit. But yeah, at least you can go hit a base now, even with 2 Witch Doctors and a couple of sloths in behind. It's not very exciting, but hey, at least you can do it now. But these TLCs are just boring as hell, and it just puts too much stress on people to get through there without killing the fleet and having the coin and blah blah. Nah, I'm not doing it. And as we can see here, there's a lot of other people thinking exactly the same way. So I don't know who does the campaigns and who coins them. Good luck to them.
Well, and that just comes back to just repairs in general have become such an issue on the game. One of the things that was getting talked about in Discord the other day is like, you know, well, say for the FN, for example, you know, just Mike was like, well, what would you think about, you know, a target that gave you 5 times the points, but you take like almost 5 times the damage? And I'm like, that doesn't help the problem. You know, sure, you cut down on seat time at that point, but you have not addressed the repairs that are going to keep me down, keep me from engaging in any part of the rest of the game from that point forward. If you're doing a 5 times more damage, you know, yes, it takes me less time to complete my task, but I'm still on the repair end. I'm still right where I was in the first place, and these repairs are precluding me from taking part in any other activities in the game.
Yeah.
And you know, from a game designer point of view, like all the targets that they design, if that's all you had to do, would be ideal. But the problem is there's like 70 versions of these single targets that are, you know, has all these repairs. So they gave players the ability to choose different aspects to try and keep the boredom down. But like you said, the repair times is the pinch point of the whole thing. Like you can add 1,000 different things to the game, but if there's one thing that stops all that progression, stops players from using all of this tech, it is the repair time, because it chokes them to a stop daily. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like Cuddle just brought up in the chat. So it's like, okay, by saying that you want me to be able to get 5 times the points and 5 times the repair, basically you're saying you want me to log on and play for 10 minutes, and that be my total engagement with your game for the day.
Yeah, and see, that's not ideal, because I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy driving. I enjoy testing myself and trying to do different routes and different things of that nature with my fleet. And you know, if it's, you know, 5 times the points for 1.5 to 2 times, yeah, I'm cool with that. But not 5 times the damage, because like you said, that's a, you know, a pinball game and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, because I know like one of the metrics that any game company uses to gauge whether something is successful or not is not only like money spent on it, but time engaged.
Yeah.
And, you know, so like, and if you're making it so that my time engagement is only going to be 10 minutes and then I can't play for the rest of the day, that doesn't seem to be like very good business sense to me.
All right. And most of us, I assume, are old enough now that we grew up with games as games progress from the beginning. You know, how many of you walk into an arcade as a kid with like a freaking dollar, you know, and then we're like, man, I wish I had like $10, or you know what I'm saying? Or if you just walk a single quarter and it's like, all right, I can play one game and then I got to go. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, and it's like I remember going in with those like that 1 quarter or 3 quarters or whatever. It's like you would go and you would find that game that you knew you were so you could get the most time possible out of that game.
Damn right, Kung Fu, man. That's where I was at.
As opposed to, I'm not going to take my 3 quarters and try this new game that I'm going to die like 3 times on right away, probably.
Yeah.
Luckily, at one stage, my auntie and uncle had a hotel, so we had the keys to the machine. So we just sit there and rack up, you know, 100 games, and that was your day. Just pew pew. It was.
Yet
so you're the first hacker.
Add to the long list of reasons that I hate you.
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
And because I am so old, one of the other ones was, you know, we soon worked out that if you could have a little level, you could put it on the pinball machine and see how much they jacked it up. See, I told you I'm old. And then, you know, work out which one was going to be the best choice to play, because, you know, if it wasn't so jacked up at the back, you'd be able to last longer and have more fun. So there you go. But I'm old. Cool. So speaking of the awesome Discord, I did want to talk a little bit about that, if that's okay. That hooray! BP next week is back. I was really pleased to see that. I was kind of not irritated, because I'm not, but I know it has been a bit of a discussion around the community that, that people are finding out things on Discord and then they're going to the forums after that. And what do we all think about that, of another form of communication, but it's working a lot faster than what the forums is.
Well, that's funny, because I wanted to bring up the Discord versus forums too, because I know a lot of people on forums are pretty pissy about the whole Discord thing. I think the main thing I think that's upsetting the forum people about Discord at this point is, well, two things. Number one, the forum had always been the place where all the news got posted first all the time, you know, and that's actually not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that stuff pops up on the Discord before it pops up on the forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing, too, is there's a lot of conversations that happen on the Discord that the people on forums don't even ever know about. So they don't get to put any kind of input in, you know? And, like, of course, people are like, well, they could just go to Discord. But there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, just really don't like Discord. So they shouldn't be taken out of these conversations because they don't like Discord. What I think would be, like, for example, just Mike comes on Discord usually once or twice a day. They'll have like 2 or 3 topics that he puts out for Discord to discuss. Okay. Now, why can't, after we're done, you know, having that discussion on Discord, why can't he take those same 3 questions and post them on the forums at that time, so people on the forums can also add their input to it?
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I think for this is just me, but I think, you know, I always and will certainly admit now that my game has suffered because I hated the forums. I couldn't stand them, and I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't look at anything, and you know, I have suffered for that. But that's, you know, that's just me, because I just found it like this really toxic, trolly, horrible place that I could never get past that to actually get what I needed out of it. And that's changed a lot now, which is good. But I think also the issue, or not issue, it's just the difference that Discord is a you know, a real live time conversation, and we certainly talked a little bit about that yesterday, how it can be a little bit hard keeping up with those conversations if you're not, like, if you're going back and reading it afterwards. But it's just the difference between them. You know, Discord is used because it is immediate, whereas the forums are, you know, work at a slower pace, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, but I guess the flip side of that is, couldn't forums have worked just as rapidly if the Kixeye employees would have been more active on the forums in the first place?
Yes.
You know, I could ask the question there, then they could answer the question there, then I could do a follow-up question there, and other people could put their input. It seemed like more of it was that the Kixeye employees just chose not to really interact on the forums, as opposed to their choosing to interact on Discord.
Could it be because the community has beat the shit out of them on the forum for like 7 years now? I mean, at times I've been an ass myself, and all apologies for earlier drunken nights and all those things, but you know, it is what it is. But you know, at the same time, like, the Discord community now is more willing to kind of listen and put forth real-time ideas in the conversation. Those conversations, I think, should be posted to the forum, because a lot of players want to go back and you know, read it. But the forum interaction is a slower pace, more detailed. You know, the information is easier to access. Discord is faster paced for the team, so they can get that information and get back to doing what they're doing without having to go back and check. But you know, if they pay some dude $8 an hour to check the freaking forums, pay him $8.50 or whatever. I mean, $10. I don't care. Get the janitor to do it.
I'll say, well, they're in California. You know, they're going to be paying them like $15 an hour or whatever.
But there's a third option. You can get your news. You can just hop on one of the round tables and ask your question there, and then the moderators on the round table surely will know what's happening on Discord or forums. Because
Yeah,
that's what.
God knows that Toxic doesn't go to the forums or the Discord. He asks me everything. So
That's where I get my news from, right here.
Well, if it works for you, it works for you, I guess.
It works.
I gotta say, I'm not a forums fan myself, you know, but I'm forums banned, but I can view them, you know. So, and I think there's a huge part of the community that are forums banned. So the Discord is an option for all of us players out there. And I'm totally serious. There is a huge part of the BP community that's forums banned.
well, here's something interesting. Sorry to interrupt you, but I do want to throw this in real quick because it actually directly pertains to what you're talking about right now. Mike did say something about at some point in time what they hope to have a live newsfeed type thing within the game. That, you know, a lot of this stuff is going to go into that channel at that point that, you know, that used to be on the forums all the time. So even people who are banned from the forums can look at that live news feed content that's within the game itself.
See, that'd be outstanding.
That'd be pretty amazing if they can pull that off.
See, you know, when they were working on Tome, they had like it was like two to 3 days a week live streams of the devs playing the game, playing us, you know, testing it. We're battling each other. Everybody was able to have the live chat, you know, and sometimes when you're playing with them, you could put your mic on, talk right to them. You could discuss what's going on with the game. And those changes in that game got fixed way faster because they were on front, on live, playing it themselves, you know. So how's their show going to go if they go into an FM target with 5 times the damage and, you know, then they're done? You know, oh, sorry, live stream's over. So, you know, but they do need an avenue to play the game and interact with the people. Even if, like I said, if it's the interns or just the lower people and maybe one dev or something, put them in there. Let's battle it out. Let's have some fun. Let's see what y'all do. And then we can compare how our play style is to theirs, and then maybe we can meet in the middle to fix it.
Well, I mean, I know you've been playing for a really long time, even longer than I have. So I know you remember the days when like Swag would be on there playing regular on the regular server, not on the test server. He'd be playing like a regular person with his own money on his own account on the regular live server, interacting with everybody.
Yes, and he smashed my base several times, and I got him back. But I mean, he was, you know, and he's still active, I think, in War Commander. But like, you know, the thing is, he was constantly updating his base, and even I don't know if it was in his off time or when he was doing it, but he kept it up to date. And you know, he was a good player, and he would talk to you in chat, and it was more communal in those days. I guess it felt the community was there naturally.
It's what drew a lot of players in the game. In all honesty, that part, that swag video of what's coming new, and I'm going to show it to you in this. Here you go, check it out. It's going to be brief and it's going to be short, right? Yeah. But you're going to see it, and hey, we tried it, we tested it, and this is how, you know, this is what it works, and it truly kept player. I mean, everyone was just ready for those videos to come out. You know, and just waited for it. We planned a month around them. It was a blast, and it didn't take much to appease us, really.
Well, and those videos were funny too because, you know, they weren't like the I mean, they did have some professional production quality to them, but they're not like the ones they release now. It's like because Swag was actually there live talking about it, and you could actually tell the hulls that he was actually himself super excited about, and then you could also tell the other hulls that he was like, "Oh yeah, here it is," you know. I mean, that in its own self led to a lot of our own gauged expectations on what to expect out of a prize.
Oh yeah.
Right. But he wasn't. Then again, it's not going by what you see on stats or it's because he played with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that last Saturday about how we used to talk and fever towards the next raid, what's going to happen, and you know, what are we going to do, and how we're going to do, you know, who's going to go with who, and all that sort of stuff. There was excitement and everything there. And then the video would come out, and you'd see it for the first time. But now no one wants to. When's the next raid? Next raid starts, you know, right after Bounty, which is right after VXP weekend, which is right after that. No one wants it anymore. It's not like that anymore for some reason, you know. It's all gone the other way.
And I mean, you know, and I know, I know, I firsthand know for sure that certain people at Kickside get tired of hearing, well, I wish the game was the way it was 7 years ago. And we all know that the game cannot be the way it was 7 years ago. We all know that. But, however, that doesn't mean you can't go back and look at and say, well, what do they like about the game, way the game was 7 years ago that we could take and incorporate into what we're currently doing now?
Right.
I think that's a big part of the problem is they're just like, oh, well, it can't be the way it was 7 years ago. No, we're saying no, but go back and look at the things we enjoyed from 7 years ago and see how you can maybe try to mold that in with what you have going on now to kind of bring it, turn this ship around and kind of get back to the game that we liked all that time ago. Kind of, we're not saying just revert everything. We're saying take those concepts that we enjoyed and incorporate them into now to kind of steer it back into the right direction.
You can take some of the repair times back 7 years ago, and that's a good start.
I mean, if whenever we say, you know, we wish it was like it was then, well, if it was exactly the way it was then, well, we still wouldn't be happy because it'd be boring. But what we did then, we were able to hit bases. We were having fleet versus fleet battles. We were having all sorts of fun, and chores were just there. You only really hit someone's base to get the rest, so that you could build something, because you couldn't be bothered hitting the little rest targets that were around, or go and park on the mine for a race. So you go and you went out and hit other people, and that just is not as viable. And that's what we mean by wish it was like it was 7 years ago or 6 years ago, where you could still go out and smash a base and not go, oh yeah, smash my base, my fleet's dead, now I have to go, can't play anymore. But now we have to do all these chores that we didn't have to do.
Well, it's like, and I don't understand why we can't have the dual repair queue all the time. Because at the end of the day, this game really is two separate games in one game. Yeah. You got the PvE game and the PvP game. So if you're going to have two separate games within the one game, why can't you just have the two separate repair queues all the time?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Players engage more.
Yeah, because I don't know about you guys, but the only reason I don't engage in PvP is because when I'm done doing all my PvE stuff, I look at my docs and I'm just like, dude, I got 15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours of repairs. I'll be damned if I'm going to go out and hit a base or two and add another 5 hours on top of that.
Yeah. And,
this might be
you got to choose your days that you can actually hit a base. And I've just recently got my witch doctor enough to where I can go in, like I was telling you. But still, it's 2 to 3 days a week, and I wish it was like every day. Like I wish I could wake up and have time to smash a base before work, come home, smash a base, and then get to the rest of the stuff or whatever. Maybe do another couple base hits, and
Yeah, I mean, I might have just a very faulty misunderstanding what a game is, but I shouldn't have to schedule my fun within a game. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This question is more towards you, Jimmy. Why didn't they not have the bounty last week? Why didn't they not have this Flying Dutchman event this week? Why don't they just stop it for a month and don't have anything at all and put all their effort into the refactor and get that out quickly so that it all gets back, so we all know where we stand, and then feed the bounty and the raid and all that other crap back in. Why don't they do that? Is there a reason that we don't understand why they wouldn't do that? Apart from the obviously the playtime and the coin that they wouldn't get for 1 month.
Well, with gaming, there's the one thing I learned, and the classes and studying everything is there are so many departments, and sometimes it's just there's basically too many chiefs and not enough Indians a lot of the times to put it bluntly. The problem is a lot of the projects that's out now is probably months old as far as pre-production and everything, and getting it in their first testing stage, their alpha stage, a little bit of beta testing, and then to quality control. So some of the events may be able to be put together fairly quickly through the mechanics that they already have. Like the Flying Dutchman is similar mechanic to the Proto Nemesis, but obviously it's a lot faster firing rate. So they just bumped up projectile speed. But some of the stuff that they've done is probably several months before maybe even they started thinking about refactors. So these are the final tail end pieces that are coming out. And then there'll be a whole new wave, I'm assuming, after the refactor. But it's just the production time with the different departments that I think is probably why we're still seeing some of this stuff.
Okay, that's just I myself, I would have put every man and his child to go and fix the PVC side, PvP side of things, and then get that back, after it's fixed.
And they probably are. Some of this stuff that we're playing with now has probably been finished for months, maybe. It could have been, and they probably been just had this as filler content for us while they're like hammering down, dude.
Okay, fair enough. So makes sense, I guess. Yeah. No, thanks for that.
Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit sidetracked at the moment because I'm just trying to confirm something before I say anything.
Yeah, so I don't think I haven't found that anywhere. Well, there's got to be lots of places by now.
All right, well, you keep on talking, and I'm going to see if I can find this because that was strange that I just got that announcement. So yeah. I guess it's a good trial for me to try and find things on Discord.
All right. So what else do you guys want to talk about while we're on here? Ross, I'm sure you got something you want to talk about.
Oh, I mean, no, it's going pretty good. I'm these back-to-backs are these are a little close for with the finishing and the relocation and all. But I understand it's not. This isn't. I don't think an event that it's because of Halloween. I mean, basically. So they didn't schedule Halloween, and so in my mind, I'm a little stressed on how many things there are this month, and in all honesty, I'm not used to having things at the end of the month like this, and so the coin wise for me is also an issue because I do monthly budgeted amount, same amount every month. And then, so I didn't expect such a, well, I mean, I did know there was an event coming, so I planned accordingly, but I just don't like so many events that require coin.
What I play a lot of different games and a lot of real-time strategy games and different base defense games. And just say, for instance, games like Castle Clash or Clash of Clans. Now, their holiday events are Yeah, there's pieces in there for the the heavy corners, but there's also something always in there for everyone. The player who just played this event, they're not, maybe if they just hit one or two targets or whatever, or five or they're not really benefiting a lot from a true Halloween event. It's kind of like they made it a raid, but they could have just offered up some stuff, just a badge, a skin. It can be done. So it was a little taxing. Like, I love it, the mechanics of it. I love playing this event, but like I said, the maybe the damage could have been toned down a little bit for the people who don't have the fleets to go through and do it the way that some of us are. And then there should have been something for every player, you know.
Yeah, I agree. There's just there's a quite a large chunk of players out there that are kind of at a dead point right now because in all honesty, these campaigns are too hard for them, and this event's too hard for them, and then there's no other targets.
Exactly.
But I think it could have all been all my frustrations or concerns could have probably with just a better communication.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no one knew that you couldn't that this was a full-blown, full-fledged event. That you couldn't relocate. You didn't only had 10 friends. That everything was going to be gone like in a raid. They could have said something so that you could at least have a chance to fill up your warehouses and whatnot.
Well, it'd have been good if they made it the piece of equipment instead of the shard. And the
Exactly.
blueprint, the skins, yeah, they can stay. They can do 5 shards for the skins. That's cool. But these right here should have been the piece of equipment itself instead of 5 shards to get them, and up the number to 50. Because as far as the more anti-mortar thing goes, that 10's not going to really cover your armada of any shape, form, or fashion.
So you can only get 10?
You're only going to get one fleet done to use these. If you're going to like run them, I'm running 2 gales on each one of my ships. So if I dedicate those to this fleet, okay, piss on the FM, it don't really matter. So, I mean, you have to choose which fleet's going to matter. The one you use once a month for this 3 sectors, or the one you have to use every week. Which, I mean, you use it. I would choose to do that for the one every week. But in my opinion, the anti-mortar piece isn't worth the refit. That you get 15% accuracy and one more salvo for another 350 tons. You don't even get the defense, another 5% defense like you do on the missile side. When you go up to the number 4, it's just not that much of an upgradable. I mean, I'm getting them, but it's not worth me refitting. Now, I might use them when it comes up the road. You know what I mean? Because it is a little bit better. But as far as refitting existing equipment and having to do refits, I don't find it that important of a piece. Now, the anti-torpedo, those are going on my bat rays that I'm using because I do see its effectiveness over value of a refit.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it's only like 7.5 hours. And I'm going to sacrifice 2 mile an hour. So my bat rays will actually run 72 now instead of 74. And I'm not really worried about the cryo because it only affects after the damn ship is dead. So, I mean, I can drive around the fire. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So you
I think you're onto something. I think you
Sorry.
should hold the gales that you have potentially probably for base hitting, because there's a lot of people trying to do the pass through, keel technique.
Yeah, they're not shut down to any class or nothing. They're open.
Yeah, so I think we're set up good enough to do the raid, and then the torque countermeasures is going to really help us out there. And then I think we'll, like you said, holding on to them and not refitting all of them instantly is a great move for the future.
I mean, but I mean, if they'd up the number, maybe we would still be hitting as many targets to meet that quota, but at least you'd have more to work with.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying.
Now, is it limited to 10? Because at first I thought it was, but then I saw a dude said that he had 12.
Let's go look at that inside the.
I've been seeing that same thing, Travis.
Because I think it's a limited number that you have and the limited or the number that you've built. So that's not really a cap. That's just saying, all right, you have this many, but you've built this many. Or you have this many left.
Gale Force. According to in here, looking in the intelligence lab, whatever it is, it doesn't have a cap number. And from my experience in here, that means it doesn't have a cap. It'd probably be like 9,999.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess you can get as many as they give you. Where did we get that 10 cap at? Where did I see that?
It was right there in the forums on the thing where it said you could only get 10.
Okay, well, okay, I don't know.
I've seen the same post in that Dooms did in Discord where a guy was saying, you know, it said he had six built and 6 available to build, for example. I think was one of the ones I saw.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Candy's saying in chat that he's got 12. So, yeah. So I'm going to have to hit some more targets then.
So as far as the intelligence lab is concerned, it apparently is unlimited because it doesn't have a cap slash on it.
Apparently, the limit we were told is not the limit that's actually in place. So there you go.
Yeah.
Always look in your lab to make sure.
I guess I guess that would fall under more bad communication, right?
I think you might be right. Well, I guess that was a little nugget of discovery then. So I'm glad we.
So what you're saying, there's a limit of 10. It just doesn't apply to that weapon, or those weapons, or antis or whatnot.
Wait, what?
So there is a limit of 10. It just doesn't apply.
Something like that, yeah.
Never mind. Doesn't matter. None of you got it.
You can earn them, but you can't have them till next week. All right, we're gonna
that's what the same thing. Yeah.
I don't know. It's more confusing. Bad communication.
You're on the timeshare plan, motherfucker.
You haven't paid your $50, so
somebody else is using those other 2 this week. You're gonna have to wait.
That's right.
They're not leaving. All right.
No soup for you.
You've met your quota for today. All right.
Cool. Okay, so has anyone else got anything to talk about, or have we pretty much finished up? I don't really have any other topics myself. As I said, I was glad to see BP next week back. It's been a kind of fun event, kind of.
How's the base hitting been going for you, Ross? I've heard it's kind of picked up some since the new equipment's come out and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm not gonna lie, I dropped all my medals for fun because I get stuck in and I find myself attracted to medals and what you do over time, and I end up hitting this. You know, I end up hitting the same 20 players for years, and seriously, and that's the part and truly the mechanics of the game haven't really been set up for those players that haven't been playing as long or as I have to make that jump. I mean, granted, several do make that jump but not very often, up to where they're hitting a lot. And that kind of, that progression is gone in the game, and where the players that are still hanging in there are the ones that are still hitting, you know what I mean? We don't have any new hitters really coming in. It's kind of funny because you can see when players leave the game and when they return, you can even tell. It's such a limited field. We can even tell on who's on what a base. And so I dropped all my medals, and I've just been randomly hitting. And I got to tell you, it's a blast. When you just when you no longer I still stick. I try to stick in the upper base levels part. But when everybody says the same thing on what they're worth medals, it's fun.
Okay.
Didn't you farm Laredo's Alliance for like 247 medals and 24?
Oh man, I got to tell you, I was just smacking and for 49 a pop, it's a blast.
Well, I mean, as a defender, I mean, right there at the end of Bounty, myself, I was finally getting to a state where I was holding them out, and I hadn't been getting hit a lot because I guess it hasn't been that active. But during the show here, I got distracted by somebody who went to go hit me. And as a defender, I mean, I'm starting to feel a little stronger myself. I'm not a hitter, so I don't go out and hit a lot. I've got stuff to do it, but it's just not me. But as a defender, I have been gone for 7 months. I've been back for 3 months now, and I'm starting to be able to defend myself again. So it's picking up on, I think, kind of both sides of it at the moment, because it's been rough for me coming back. I didn't have any of the level 8 turrets or none of that stuff. I mean, I had to work my patootie off to get it, but everything's kind of starting to come together, it feels like now for me. And I'm one of the higher level guys, like you.
Right.
I've been around since dirt was new too, in the game. So
right.
Well, I know one thing we have been starting to see a lot more variety again in the holes that can hit. We're starting to see MSDs be able to actually participate in base hitting again.
Yeah, yeah.
The longest time we didn't see those on the water at all anymore. Of course, Revenants have seen some base hitting. I still personally don't think they're the greatest hole out there, but so yeah, we're starting to be able to see a little bit more variety and see impact cruisers every now and then as well.
Yeah, and Ifrit, of course, but I'm kind of noticing it on both sides. It's kind of
my base got a lot weaker, but it just has recently. It just has. I'm not sure.
See,
and that's because of the new armor, Ross.
There's more than the new armor. But I'm not trying to be negative. I don't think pass-through is correct.
No.
But
yeah, no, I was just curious.
But I think it, because in all honesty, I just run with this same base for so long. I'm seeing it get weaker. But the new armor does play a role in some of that, but not in number of hits.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
And see, where I took, so long off, my base is, it's 2 years old. So, you can if you got a good, MCX crew, you might be able to have some old school fun with it, but, cause I don't keep defenders in there cause I'm, currently working on them. I've recently just unlocked some hulls, but, I was always 50-50. I was always, proud to defend my base. But if somebody hit me, I was instantly on their ass, with a base hitting fleet. So me coming back and being able to get the witch doctors brought the main fun for me was hitting, because I can defend if I piss enough people off, a hit or two or whatever, and then that's over. But I can take, my base fleet out and get hours of fun just hitting bases with it. And it got to a point where I gave up on my base because I couldn't get the tech. And so to me, it was just my dock was the only thing that kind of mattered. So what I done to reprieve that time is during the weeklies doing my daily missions. A lot of times I get 1 hour repair tokens, so I just forward them up and I'll take my witch doctors out and somebody will come hit me in return, and then send me a smart ass message, and then I'll just go right back out and hit the dude right beside of him. So it's no big deal. So.
Yeah, that's actually a good point too, because how much was the Witch Doctor in the FM? It was pretty damn cheap, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes, very good deal in the FM for that. I mean, it's just 1.5 million. Not that really hard to get, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good, because some of these hulls that we've seen in the FM have been pretty damn expensive. Dragon, but yeah, that's good, because it'll give people an opportunity to do bounty if they can. They've got a month, so they might be able to squeeze out a couple of Witch Doctors and be able to do it next time, hopefully, if it works. So yeah, it'd be good. Cool.
Yep.
That brought silence.
Anything else? Are we done?
Yeah, I think we're probably done, unless anyone's got anything they really want to talk about.
I'm sure Toxic does. He's always the guy who's right as I'm ready to hit the button says, "I got something."
If you're pushing, I can figure something real quick. That's crews. For some reason, I don't think some of the crews are working. I don't think the Deadeye destroyers are working. I didn't see any evidence that they did. I put a Midnight Marauder on, and I could see that they're working. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Some of the crews either don't work with certain hulls or certain whatnot. But yeah, it was the same in the raid with the Razor Tails. Certain crews didn't work. I think it was a DOS crew that didn't work, and the monkeys worked really good. So yeah.
See, I wonder if it's when those crews were invented, it was before concussive weapons, so we're using a different weapon type. So
but Toxic's using rockets.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got the like I used the bullseye crew on my mantis.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see anything that did any good at all. And they were missiles, so they should have gotten the crits. I put the scatter guns on afterwards, and because I couldn't get quite through with the missile ones. But yeah, I didn't see him work at all.
However, just have you got your settings so that they're turned off though? And that's why you're not noticing the critical hits. Because the other thing too is that there's a hell of a lot going on these targets. So to be trying to concentrate on all that and watching for critical hits at the same time is kind of hard. But the first thing I would say is look at your settings.
He shouldn't have to be watching for critical hits, because if he's getting more critical hits, his time to kill is quicker, which means his damage that he takes should be less.
Yeah, that's how I look. I look at repair time.
In that fashion, he should be able to tell.
Yeah, there was no difference. There was no difference at all.
But yeah, I've always found that crew to be not anywhere near as good as it used to be, say 4 years ago. When we didn't have these weapons and we didn't have the amount of critical hits and rank and all the rest of it. That's when I found those to be effective. And yeah, I haven't found that crew to be effective for a long time, to be quite honest. But I just think it's the difference in weapons and the difference in targets.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. I know just Mike had talked about something, and I think we touched on it briefly on Thursday's show about the post-battle report, telling you how much damage you took from what, like you took X amount of explosive damage, X amount of concussive damage, yada, yada, yada. Would you guys prefer to see a post-battle report like that, or perhaps a whole separate chat tab that just had rolling combat text? As far as it spelled out everything that happened in the combat, like I've seen in lots of other games.
I think maybe whatever would be able to look back on. So if it's a rolling context and I can't go back and view it, then I wouldn't want that.
Well, it'd be just like, say, World Chat was, for example. In World Chat, you can scroll way the hell up in World Chat to see what was said.
Right. I guess.
Only if you haven't refreshed.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and
When would it give it to you? Like when your fleet went inside your base, or right after the battle? As far
Which are you talking about? Are you talking about the battle report or the rolling combat text?
well, either one of them.
Well, the rolling combat text would happen real time as you were in the battle in that chat window. So, like when I would get shot by something, it would show up there in the chat saying blah 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 has just hit you for XXX damage. You know what I mean? But in the battle report, it would not be as informative. It would just be like you took X amount of explosive damage, X amount of concussive damage, and blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
right. Okay.
Battle log.
So a rolling report would be good, I guess. Then if it was live, I would love. I don't know if it was even mentioned or if it was going to be even possible that you carry it over to PvP would be out.
No, I honestly, I do not want to see it in PvP because that takes like most of PvP out of the whole game. Then because you're getting exact reports on what people have on in their bases and what they have on their ships. And in my personal opinion, that should not be part of PvP because a lot of that stuff should still be like people keep their little secrets in their base, and I don't want to see that go away.
Yeah, that would give you a full detail of all the specials they're using on all their turrets and everything in their ships. No, in PvP, I don't think it should be. In the PvE realm, as much as the repair is and all that good shit going on, yeah, we could use a little bit more information.
If it was live in PvE, then it would take up part of your screen, which is already pretty full of stuff that you need to see. So
it would be
whatnot.
I think you're missing what I'm saying though. It would be just like, okay, you know, down how in your chat window you have sector chat, you have world chat, you have alliance chat. You just add another little tab there and have the rolling combat text in that, so it's not going to take up any more of your screen than what chat's already taken up.
Yeah,
I'm
still in all.
I would prefer to get a battle log after it because I don't have the the chat box open. I close everything off when I
that's fine. You can go back to your base, bring up that tab when you're sitting inside there, and roll back on that chat. You're not in sector chat. You're not in all chat or global or alliance. You would be in your own personal little log tab that you would roll through, just like you can roll up and down any of the chats right now. It would just be another tab. That's what he's saying.
Let me ask you, Travis. I know you play games, and you know a lot about this stuff, and so I know exactly what I mean when I'm talking about rolling combat text. Which would you prefer to see? Would you prefer to see a after battle report or a rolling combat text in the game?
Honestly, I would like to. Both of them would be useful, but I think the rolling text, which this game's not too intensive. You kind of click where you want to go, but it does. You have to look away or down to the corner or wherever it's at. Personally, I would like to see like a color-coded like hit points like above a certain damage. So if like I'm taking like severe hit points from concussive, like something pops up says like warning extreme concussive damage, blah blah blah, and it's like near the screen but not in the way of the battle, but it's in the peripheral vision area where it's easy to see, and then that information relayed into a battle report to where it shows like your battle report could have like red, yellow, and green threats. So like whatever you were taking the most would be highlighted in red. Like maybe like a chart leading over to this much damage was taken by this weapon or from this weapon, kind of thing. I like the idea of both though, to have something live and then something you can review.
Yeah, I mean, I know I really prefer the idea of the rolling combat text because I know it goes much more into detail than what a Kixeye after battle report does.
Yeah.
You know, it shows you literally every single thing you get hit by and how much damage, and it shows you if it crits, and it shows you all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas a general Kixeye after battle report says, you know, you took 3,755 million or billion or whatever concussive damage and 500 billion explosive damage, but it doesn't break down exactly, you know, what was crit, what was this, what was that, what weapons you got hit by, whereas the scrolling combat text would.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about if they did that as an after battle report linked to the time then that it happened? So you've got your battle timer, and at 1 minute you took blah blah damage, and 1 minute 10 you took blah blah damage. And what do you think of that? Would that work?
Well, War Commander was kind of set up that way, and it kind of, because they didn't have replays, so it was still kind of a guessing game. It was better, but it was still like some missing pieces, it seemed like. But if it was more detailed, then yeah, it would be good.
Because I'm certainly, and Candy and Cuddle are the same, that I think an after battle report is the way to go, because I want to be able to see it afterwards, and I want it to be in my base. I don't want another pop up on the screen just saying.
Well, what I ideally, kind of like how I would envision the UI in my head, I would have it right above the radar, just rolling upwards, like maybe 5 to 7 lines. And so it would be like whatever you got hit by, it would show like a color-coded weapon type, or damage type, I should say, and your hit points. So you'll know, like, hey, if I get this close, I can take this much damage from a certain type of rocket because of splash fall off. But if I get in even closer, I'm taking way more damage from that rocket because the area of effect is really hammering me. Or that live report would be able to actually make your driving better. If you're an active player.
You're very convincing. You're kind of turning me. Only if you do it, though, right?
All right.
It's cool though, because it's a good discussion to have, and it's good to have everybody's opinion and certainly your input on that Doomsday of how exactly it could possibly be done, rather than just talking in theory, which certainly from my point of view, I can. I don't know all the ins and outs of the programming and that sort of stuff, so it's interesting. But yeah, I would like to see it afterwards, because I think and I know I've certainly played quite a few games like that have given like either more like our battle log that we have now, which isn't going to be much help, quite honestly, because it's just not detailed enough. But then they've also had like I said, like a timed factor of like I said, at 1 minute you took 110 hit points or whatever. There's quite a few ways that's been done in other games that I think could be carried over quite nicely here. But I guess they've got to have the will and the demand to do it, because it would be a fair bit of work. I mean, I can certainly appreciate that.
But I mean, obviously they have the will and the want to do it because they were the ones that brought it up. So,
agreed.
And so, and like I just know I'm still firm believer in the scrolling combat text, because it's still there unless you get disconnected or whatever. So when you die, suddenly you can just go back and scroll down through that and be like, "What the hell killed me?"
Yeah, yeah, for ssure.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, but yes, it does mean that you're going to lose it every time you refresh, and if it's anything like last weekend where we were refreshing, every 5 minutes, it then makes it kind of useless, because you're not going to be able to look at it to see what killed you. So
true.
I can see both sides of it. So because I have been known for my fence sitting skills.
Yes, you should be a politician. Yeah, I mean, you work for the government, so that explains a lot right there. I
How
guess
to non-commit to being non-committal.
all right. Apparently, I'm the guy this week who's going to keep bringing up last-minute stuff because there was something I mentioned in the Discord that I want to bring up and see what you guys think about. With the he had talked about what if in the shipyard when you would go to build a hull, they would have like recommended builds for that hull that were either recommended by Kixeye or other well-known players. What do you think of that? I know I myself, I'm not a big fan of that idea because there's lots of people out there who do lots of really good builds, and the ones they recommend might not always be the best. Plus, for those clueless people, if you keep just handing them builds and saying do this, they're never actually going to learn anything more about the game because you keep hand feeding and spoon feeding everything. You as a player have to at some point in the game take responsibility on yourself to be like, okay, I need to learn more about this game and how it works. And if you keep getting the hand-fed stuff all the time, you're never going to get any better at the game.
It's true.
So let's just go down the row. Travis, go ahead and say what your thoughts on it are.
All right, let's see. I think if they just pick a select few, it would make the game very one-dimensional. Like I said before, it'd be a lot easier for them to design against because they're like, all right, you use this, but we're going to use, this. If there were a way to make it very easy as pop-ups with, like, say, 6 different options from 6 random players that the data shows that these fleets are doing well, I might be okay with that. But at the same time, there's so many avenues that we have for ship builds. But then again, some people want to hold their secrets. I've never been like that, I know there's a lifespan of what we're playing with. These pixels have a lifespan, and I have no problem with sharing what works for me with anyone because in a month or two, we're going to have to adapt and evolve. So that's the thing. It's like how crucial of a time frame are these recommended builds going to last compared to how long it takes you to make them?
Good point. Ross.
I don't want to see that in any shape or form, in all honesty. One of my biggest gripes in the game is the people get to level whatever and don't know what they're doing and are still relying on asking someone else. When if they would have followed this progression the whole time, they'd know. They'd know without asking. Not necessarily, not the new items or anything like that, but the basic specials, the basics, they need to be learned, not shown. And I would like to see more tutorial videos on in the game like that instead of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I was going to bring that up. I think a lot of the resources they were planning on delving into putting kicks builds or quote unquote pro player builds recommended into the game, they would be better served using those resources to actually teach people about the game. So then they don't have to hand feed them this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Shane, what do you think? Are you there, Shane?
Yeah. Ross kind of stole mine because that's what I was thinking. Need the information of how things work rather than going here, use this. Now, if they were going to put builds in there like that, I think they need to be proven builds, proven by best repair time, not or proven by quickest build time, possibly. But there's so many areas that in those that have to be addressed, because what if those people don't have all of the equipment that's done for that. If they don't know how the stuff works, they're not really going to know what they need to replace what they do have in them slots, so to speak, like specials and such. You know, I mean, some of them are self-explanatory, but if they don't really know how things work, the expert build advice thing, whatever thing there is useless anyway, because they probably don't have all the equipment needed for it. Oh, okay, you don't have the damn scatter guns needed, and here they don't really know what the hell's going on. They throw rockets on it.
Right.
Totally works against everything else that was put on these specials and stuff. You know, so I mean, yeah, the information needs to be out there, not just here's what you use. Because
yeah, I would look at that to somebody who we all know and love. I'm not going to name them by names, but they would get recommendations from 5 different people on how to build a fleet, and then they would take the worst part of each recommendation that they got and put it all together to make their fleet. I know we all know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say any names, but you know, yeah, if you don't understand the mechanics about, you're definitely going to come up with that kind of situation.
So that's my view on it.
Toxic, what do you think?
I think all your points are all valid, but there's one thing that he's all forgot. There is how many specials to it? Doesn't my family again. Don't know how to use door handles. I'll try to teach them though. I'm still at it. They don't know how to put the right specials on because they don't know what specials there are in the game. I mean, I'm totally honest. When I look to build a fleet, I got to almost click on every special to see, oh, does that do for that? Is that one for that? Because there are so many, they're not put in any kind of order or category where you can easily go, oh yeah, I need to have a corrosive special. It's in the corrosive, or it's in the scattergun, or wherever. You know, there is a certain drawer where I can go, and that's where that special is in. That's what needs to be done first, because I don't know all the specials in the game. I got no idea, to tell you the honest truth.
Yeah, it is inconsistent through the choice in the shipyard to see it, because some things are together. But then, like the skirmish battery, for instance, you know, most of the batteries are together, but that one's up there and that one's over there. You know, like the scattergun specials, the +2 special, the older one, and then the newer +3 special for scatterguns, they're not together. But you go and look at the advanced concussive payloads, those two are together. It's just, you know, it's so inconsistent in there. The categorizing of it and all that stuff in there, that really needs to be gone through. I agree. And things, you know, either lined up together or something like that. But it is monotonous going through there and looking at every single special to see what they do. And there's so many of them. You know, that's a big old mountain to climb for somebody that don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. And I guess, RB, you're the only one we haven't heard from yet, right?
Yeah. So I've been thinking while everyone's been saying this, and everybody has said exactly the things that need to be said, because you've all got really good points. I'd go maybe a little further, because the tutorial video idea is awesome. I was thinking as you were talking, you know, about the campaigns and the foundry and how you could shape players that way, because we all know that there's, you know, across every page, it's can I have a build for, you know, because a lot of people just want to copy, whereas, you know, what you said, Damnation, about you've got to take responsibility for your own learning is very true. So, you know, my level of mediocrity has risen slightly. No, decreased slightly, because I've spent a bit more time and effort trying to understand and trying to learn and trying to, you know, get advice this way. The way that they're doing it already is, you know, so you've got the new ship and it works well with XXXX. I can see that working. It just needs to be condensed, like everyone else said. So it's these specials for these ships. the flip side of that is the clown cars that we were using not very long ago, that you would be putting on weapons that you shouldn't be putting on a hull because it's counterintuitive, but you need the buff that weapon gives. So there's really go on.
At that point, sorry, but at that point you're comparing apples to oranges, because then you're looking at PvE versus PvP, which is two entirely different.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, good point.
Well,
Right.
not in a way, because everything escalates. So these recommended builds, are they recommended for the first wave, or the second refit, or the third refit?
Right.
And that's definitely very valid, because look at the Manticore Rage. We had to change countermeasures for each iteration of that, and then you finally end up with, oh look, I'm back at where I started from. But you did have to refit to go through that raid cycle to lessen the damage. So I don't know if there's going to be a perfect build, because the perfect build was for that time when that build was good. And there's so much that changes so quickly in this game that I think they've got to really just look at going back to basics and working on tutorial videos, the Foundry, the tower campaigns, so you actually learn what each thing does. And it doesn't have to be, it could be the core of that special or whatever. And then, okay, so this special goes with this, so therefore the next special I use will do that better. And that's the way you can learn, like a building block system. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, really. I don't think there's any really simple one answer, would be my answer.
I know for when it comes to PvE, a lot of it's really self-explanatory too, in my opinion. For having, and this could be because I've played for so long, but like, okay, when you get a new hull, you get a new weapon and a new special. So there, you already know what weapon and what special to put on it.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No, for the most part, you do.
I'm thinking Buccaneers and the special that didn't work, and we all went back to the other one.
I didn't. I still have the pack thing on my Buccaneers, and they work great.
Well, a lot of people took that pack straight back off again.
Yeah, that's always ongoing issues with Kixeye in general. Things come out and they don't work. They fuck with it, and it does work, and then later on, somehow it don't work no more. And
but anyway, for the most part, when we get a hull, we know to put the weapon and the special on it. Okay, so okay, one of your other specials, you're going to have to be an engine. So that's pretty self-explanatory. What engine you want to choose, basically, a lot of times is up to you. You know what, you almost always know what kind of damage type that the target's going to put out. So, you 9 times out of 10, okay, I need to use this slot for an alloy. So then at that point, that leaves you with just, like 3 special slots. Usually you try to figure out maybe 4. So you just look at what busts the damage types on here and what busts defenses and stuff. So like half of your build, in my opinion anyway, is pretty much self-explanatory. It's just the other half is where the options come into play, and that's where a lot of it comes into where the tutorial stuff would come in handy.
Well, let me put this out here. You and I, we have 7 years experience, and I took 2 years off, and all those specials in red, I have no clue what they are. I have like 50 of them. I have no clue what they are. Just don't want to take the time to actually go through until I unlock them. Once I unlock them, then I'll check it out, because then I can use it. So a new player coming in, they're like inundated with so much stuff. The actual best fix is if they would start designing hulls with active loadouts. So we put our specials and we put our armors on. And then, we put our weapons and our armors on. Then every battle, you have the option to change your specials on the fly. Because the targets, progress. So I might be able to take a couple things off on this one target, put a couple things on, and then be able to do better. I've always thought that that's one thing that would actually progress the battles in Battle Pirates and it would add way more creativity, is if you could, the the holes are set up for damage types or to take a certain type of damage, whatever. So that's where you put your, you know, what weapons you want and your armors. But then again, there's the creativity actually comes in the specials. Like for instance, this last raid, we found out, yeah, we could use evade again. So people's, you know, took that route instead of having the same, you know, kind of countermeasure sort of build. But some targets, like, you know, you had the 102 did one damage to one, and then the 100s that did another. Well, if I could have flipped out a couple specials, I could have changed that damage up, I believe, just by having a different loadout. It'd be more adaptable on the fly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
I'm just like, but how would you go about doing that? Would you be able to change out the specials for free? Because you know Kicks ain't gonna go for that.
Well, they should. I mean, because like we've progressed to a point to where, yeah, they're just going to keep making the same, what, 6 things with just a slightly higher percentage again, or are they going to up the gameplay and, you know, give us a chance to where, all right, hey, maybe you can't do it on every hole, but this one hole right here, you have active loadouts, you know?
Well, how about if, say, okay, here's an idea. In the shipyard, you load a ship out, right? And then you could hit a test, which would take that ship into a target, and you could check it out in a target that it's intended. If
Absolutely
you
love
an
that
assault fleet, you know, it would go and hit a titanium target, make it a lower titanium target since it's a single ship, and you can see how it reacts to the targets they're meant for and such.
It's a great idea.
What I could almost also see them going for is you could have like say two different active loadouts that you could swap back and forth between, but say like you would have to actually spend the time to swap the extra special, like build the specials into your second active layout, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that way you can swap back and forth between them. Because like I said, I know they're not going to let you flop shit on the fly for free for not having put any time and effort into it, because we know them and we know how they work. But if you put the time into it to build it into your second layout, then yeah, I could see him maybe going for something like that.
Yeah. But then again, you know, that's their mentality versus other games who have active loadouts all the time. For instance, Call of Duty. Look how much fucking money they make, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too because you know, a lot of people learnt a lot of how things worked in the arena, and that was a good way of testing and stuff like that. So you know, that's always an alternative. It's sitting there in the background, and that could be a way of doing things as well. You know, you get 5 free battles a day or something like that. I don't know. I'm just picking a number out of the air, but do you know what I mean? Because that it's just sitting there and no one's doing anything with it. And there's a lot of stuff that's just sitting there, and it could just be improved with, instead of reinventing something completely from scratch. It's like, well, maybe go back and look at that.
Well, they had that availability in the arena when
Yes.
that was going on. You go in there and you figure up a ship. You actually figured up a whole fleet, and you went out there and used it, and then come back. I mean, by the end of the arena, okay, I really like that fleet. You save that loadout, and that's what you built.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I was saying in the shipyard, if you had it the way you could test it, and then you would build it. You know.
Arena, you could have your test fleet that you put together in your shipyard, and then the arena just have, like for PvE, for example, have garrison, skirmish, siege, blah blah. You know, a thing for each target, and you hit your appropriate target, and you go in and take it for a test ride.
Yeah, exactly. It's not against another player; it's against the actual target. So that would be a way of testing and seeing how
teaching a newer player the mechanics.
Yeah, definitely. And they could even be,
and
you
like
know, old targets that they've already got.
Like you said, limit it to 5 a day. That way it doesn't get abused. I mean, there's probably a little catch in there for their side of it, you know.
Right.
It doesn't get, you know, totally.
Well,
Everybody's doing that in the shipyard all day long instead of actually going out in there and doing what they playing the game, you know.
yeah, okay. Or maybe you could have a time limit.
Yeah, an hour's use a day or something.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
5-minute targets, that would give you what, 12 targets, 12 runarounds, whatever.
Yeah.
Or a certain amount of times you could test drive each individual hull. Like, you know, okay, your dragons, you have 3 different test runs available that you can do with your dragons. Anything after 3, you're on your own.
Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, that's doing that right there. But as soon as you figure out what you want to do, then your shipyard's busy. So, you know, I guess there is no going in there and playing with it. You know, you should be building ships because it's doing this in the shipyard, you know.
Well, yeah, so you test out your 3 different versions like right off the bat, and then as soon as you figure out which one you like, then you can start building in your shipyard right away.
Yeah, and then there you go.
So, all right. Well, anyway, we're at the 2-hour mark at this point. RB,
for sure. It's been a really good chat, though. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about, so and all like really good information. So it's been good.
Killer
so I guess on that note, if you care to like and subscribe the video and share it amongst your groups, and you know, well and truly welcome to come on and join us. What else have we got to say? I guess Damnation is going to put the link in the chat for the after show.
We want to say happy Halloween because we won't see you guys again until after Halloween is over. So enjoy your holiday.
Right.
If you have that sort of thing.
Everybody should have Halloween.
No.
It's all about candy, dude.
No.
Candy.
No, we're Australian. We don't have Halloween.
Anyway, we're done. Later, guys.
Cool. See you, everyone. Thanks a lot.